So I would like to start, first of all, by expressing condolences on behalf of the whole temple community for the loss of your late father, husband, or grandfather, for many of you. I can see for many of you it is quite a difficult time, so it tells me that he was a much loved figure in your family. And I hope that although grieving is not something which is predictable, it's not something which just goes away quickly, it always leaves a shape missing in every person's life from what we had with that person before. But I hope that although their ceremonies that we do may be a little bit unfamiliar for some of you, but you will see it as something which is of value, as something which you can actively do to bring something extra to Mr. Praphan, who is so dearly loved, even though he has now left us. For many funerals and memorial ceremonies, there is a terrible sense of finality about it, especially in other spiritual traditions. So it's almost like saying goodbye or just dealing or coping with our emotions. And although it may seem a little bit unfamiliar to be in these Buddhist surroundings, but there is a sense of which, what more can we still do for this loved one of ours who has passed away? The main thing to understand, although there seems to be a lot of complexity with a lot of these ceremonies, is that there is something which is created out of the good deeds which we have come together to do. And what you have seen in the ceremonies both yesterday and today is firstly taking 5 precepts, secondly the listening to Abhidhamma chanting, which if you were to know the meaning of it, it is to do almost with letting go of attachment to this physical existence of ours in order to latch onto something instead which is more transcendental and can take us to a brighter and better place. Also, we have the offering of the robes and of the necessities for the monastic community, which many of you have brought along today as well. And the idea is that it's not those actions themselves, but the positive energy generated by those actions, something of the heart, which is somehow able to reach beyond this existence to where Mr. Praphan now is probably in a sort of limbo between existences. There is a belief within Buddhism that especially in the 7-day period after the passing of a person, if they don't immediately go to a better or a worse place as a result of their deeds, then it's like they are still around us. And being still around us for a length of 7 days is a time where if that person can think of the good deeds they have done during their lifetime, then that will take them to a better place. It's like a grace period. Even if they cannot think of something good they did, and it may be that some people pass away in circumstances where they are not fully conscious, but these funerals are designed to remind that person's presence, however it may be, of the good things which they have done. It's almost like they will follow along with you to listen in to the funerals, listen in to what the monks are saying, listen in to the emotions in their family members who are remaining. They are still around us. And life, if you were to give a metaphor, it's like when we leave this life, we are thrown overboard from the boat that we used to rely upon into a sea of rebirth and suffering and unpredictability. And it doesn't end there, but if we can go to a better boat, then it is going to save us from all that trial and tribulations. And these funerals that we do, it's almost like a lifeline. It's a lifeline just in case that loved one of ours who has passed away cannot manage all on their own, but they need that little bit of extra merits from us. So merits being like a spiritual power or purity within our hearts, which we can somehow share with them. And the pouring of the water, which we do when we're listening to the monk's blessing, it is a metaphor for that outpouring of the heart, from our heart to the heart of the loved one who has passed away, to make a bright pathway for them to go to a better place. So it is like a lifeline which we are reaching out to them with. Generally, the funerals that are done in Buddhism, although on the surface may seem a little bit difficult to understand, seem to have a lot of detail. It's not just about a time of sadness or respect for the family or respect for a departed, but there are 6 things which we would hope come as a result of every funeral which is organized. The first of these, of course, is to give that lifeline of merit for the loved one who has passed away. For Mr. Praphan, in fact, during his life, he had done many good deeds all on his own. I'm sure he's not really in need of much help from us, because the merits he has from ordaining as a monk and from supporting the temple regularly every Monday with the meals that he brought here throughout the time when he was still healthy before the COVID pandemic, and even after the COVID pandemic, he still used to donate for the Monday meals here every week. Many other things which he's done in a more charitable way for orphanages in Thailand, this sort of thing. He was someone who I'm sure you all realize how kind and loving he was as a person. That sort of thing will already bring him to a better place, all other things being equal. The second thing is for us to maybe learn a few things and reflect upon ourselves at these funerals as well, because sometime we are all going to find ourselves in a picture like this. But what can we do in advance of that to make ourselves less afraid when it comes to our own time? A third thing is to improve our knowledge about the nature of life, because sometimes we forget that we're not going to live forever, that we're not going to be healthy forever, that we are not going to be as independent forever. And if we start thinking about these things early on in our life, then we are less shocked by the reality when it eventually comes home to us. A fourth thing is to ask forgiveness. Sometimes we didn't have a perfect relationship with that person during their lifetime, but this is a time when we can let go of that, ask forgiveness from them, or maybe receive forgiveness from them too, so that we are sort of quits when that person can go to a better place. Fifth thing is to recollect the goodness and the example that person has set during their life. And I think you've heard from many of the monks from the biography that was collected together about the life of Mr. Praphan, all the good things which he set as an example for us, which we can learn from, which we can talk about, where we can keep him alive in our hearts, especially as an example for the younger generation who come in his footsteps. And last but not least, even for those who are not direct family or blood family for the departed, many still come along to show their support, because everyone realizes time is not an easy time for anyone. There's a lot of adjustment to do, not just emotionally, but I would guess even logistically for many things in your life, uncertainties. So everyone else who is joining and helping to organize today sees that, realizes this, and is there to help you in every way that is possible. So this is why there is these sort of funeral ceremonies. It's not just about a quick farewell, but it's drawn out a little bit in order for all of these objectives to be fulfilled, so that we come away from this hopefully as stronger people, and we also capture the memory of Mr. Praphan for his legacy in our own hearts and minds, so that we can continue to live out that goodness in our own lives as well. So today I have the final duty to give a blessing in the Pali language. And at the end of the blessing, there will be a pouring of water, which is, as I said, the idea of taking the goodness in our heart generated today and that warm fuzzy feeling perhaps that we have inside ourselves when we are able to do something good, to express that virtue and to do the pouring of the water.